Alright. Welcome. Now I know what you're thinking. What is going on? What has been happening? Basically, I've been always keeping things going, keeping my eye out, because you don't know what is it to expect. And for sure, things have gone differently, and now it looks like it came to the result, which the review of the Bad Batch has finally finished, and I'm about to be talking about my opinions, my thoughts of the whole entire season 1, because I know season 2 was announced that next year that they're gonna continue on the situation. But the whole thing about this review, I'm about to explain it right now and what my thoughts are about the whole thing. Alright. So where do I even begin with this? As I continue progressing, the Bad Batch was kind of a shocker, really. It kind of shocked me, and it did have a final 2 finale season episodes where it really brought to my attention where things have just escalated for the worst. It takes place in the events of the Rising Empire times, where Chancellor Palpatine, known as Darth Sidious, takes control of the whole entire not galaxy, but the regions of the army to create his own empire, which was announced. So, as I'm going to be talking about this review, I will be playing Star Wars Battlefront 2. So, if you want to sit back and enjoy this, be welcome to do. If you have anything about your thoughts, you can leave it in the chat, or when this thing is done, in the comments about the whole Bad Batch review, and I'll be able to look at them to see what I might think about. Alright. So, the Bad Batch was kind of a really shocker how the Empire was growing and, dealing as a clone trooper in the situation. They were coming through obstacles, because in the beginning it was really intense in the beginning, where they had the more separatist droids that they're fighting against, because they're basically all but fighting separatist droids through the Clone Wars. So through those Clone Wars, you can tell things were a lot of different, and I didn't even expect that to be happening, but it did. So of course, the main events turn when Order 66 came and started turning on the Jedis. We knew off the bat that things were going to take it awfully for the worst. Now, I'm here thinking, what do you mean awfully for the worst? So what does that even apply to? It doesn't look like one's online. When Order 66 came from the Emperor, he ordered the clone troopers to turn their guns towards the who's where I say this? He wanted to turn the guns towards the Jedis, which these Jedis were the result of, how you say this? They're a result of having them executed by clone troopers for the crime actions against the Emperor, which we all know that it was like a little setup for them. So as the Empire grew and as the things came about, it looked like it was really getting escalated. Now, the Bad Batch of Clone Force 99, that hopefully could correct me if I'm wrong, were too enhanced to even get their inhibitor chips, so that by themselves weren't able to experience the result of the change of the thing activating. So in other words, they're immune to it. And so they realized what was going on, and only one, which was Crosshair, which was like the sniper clone, enhanced clone trooper, he was the only one that still had the achievement working on him, and he, of course, was still following orders, but of course Hunter did not want that at all. Supposedly, he told Crosshair that, look, he wanted to know what was going on first. That's what was happening right now. He didn't really know exactly what the situation was, so it was kind of really difficult to make that please. I was shocked when that kind of events happened. So you really don't know what to expect, and it could be turned for the worse. I myself was like looking at the situation, realizing they almost killed this young Jedi, which, spoiler alert, but this young Jedi ends up being the leading of the next Rebel series, which I watched the entire Rebel season, which is Caden. Which Caden, as he grows older, trains another Jedi that once was like him. So that basically that kid that was in the first episode of the Bad Batch was Caden in his kid form. It's crazy, right? Now you can look at it, maybe you could correct me, but I know that people, what I saw from their previews, that was Caden from the Rebel series. He was just like a young teen or a kid, young teen kid, when the Order 66 came and killing the innocent Jedi's. So the Bad Batch the group had to get their thoughts saying what the heck is going on. So they had no idea what was about to be turned into events. When they came upon the cloning facility, they met this little young, fascinating kid, Omega, which she was more enhanced and she was like into the special forces team. It was kind of interesting too because you didn't really expect what was gonna happen. I was looking at this too, and I was trying to figure out what was going on or what was happening. Because you can't expect always the best from the series. When first appearance of Governor Hawkins, he knows things are not gonna turn for the good or turn for the worse. So I already knew off the bat that he means business or he means trouble. And when Governor Hawkins shows up, that means something big's gonna happen. You can't really expect what was the best opinions for this matter. You always assume that for the worst. I was saying to myself when Governor Hawkins was there, I realized that their little playing time is not gonna last. He's gonna end up betraying them because he doesn't like disobedient clone troopers or clone troopers with thoughts. So he realized, he had to test their skills to see if they're actually capable of taking out an entire battalion without hesitation. And he actually used live blasters on them, which means if they get shot, they're dead. They were pissed about that because first they were like, okay, they were joining the Empire, they were having their own time and bashing out, but then they soon come to realize that something was not right. Like, why would they end up, trying to kill them? One of the troopers named I think Wrecker was pissed about the Echo or Wrecker. One of those was really pissed about that how they just used live blasters on them and try to kill them. I knew off the bat that as Crosshair was enjoying it, he realized he did not like disobedience or disobeying orders, and then it only came out when Governor Hawkins suggested he should take them to this place where their task was. Basically, he informed a lie objective saying that to take out the rest of these separatist holdouts of their Imperial droids, something like that. But basically, it turns out it was a resistant Reptilian that were trying to escape the planet because they knew something was not right. In other words, Governor Hawkins sent them to kill all these innocent civilians and the rebel like soldiers that were protecting them from escaping. Because I guess they were always taken out, having a strong over separatists, and he didn't like them. He didn't want any of that happening in the Empire. I guess something in the Empire, they didn't want rebel resistance, always trying to be controlled of their planet and how they set the rules. They wanted to be in watch to make sure no one was planning assaults or attacks. Because any assault or attack can lead to more rebels growing in an army and causing problems throughout the galaxy. So that's why they wanted to attack it so much. When Hunter realized this, he made a choice, but Crosshair did not like disobeying orders, so even though he had to leave with them, he was pissed about that. And that's when Governor Taka said, we have to arrest these battalions. And they took Crosshair to get evaluated because he was the only. They saw from the little drone that the Empire uses, which they only found out that this drone that they had was hearing, listening to all their conversations. And when they found out the conversation, that's when they took Crosshair to get it validated to see if his inhibitor was still functional enough that they can able to continue making him disobey, continue on following orders. That's when Crosshair turned on the rest of the team, Wrecker, Hunter, and Echo, and Tech, to try to get Target out, because they were trying to escape, and he knew that since they're disobeying orders, he was falling for the Empire. So it was already too late for Crosshair, in other words. They left with the Megas because the Mega wanted to follow along. They didn't want to stay there because then the Caminos, or I call them the Camino characters, such as the what do you call it, Nanny, and what's the other one? Lama Su, something like that. Probably you could correct me. Those two, the ones that are creators of the clone battalions, they saw that the Omega was useful for creating more special soldiers that they wanted to complete. But since that she disappeared, they had no choice but to dismiss her absences, since she is a girl after all. The most thing that I realized through the entire season, because they were going through mission, the Empire were really starting to take down several planets and causing planets to be worried of their own security. I mean, one of them, an example, had a dude who was like we call it a Grand Emperor of the Palace, a general, something like that, and he knew that this was wrong to give up all their security forces, weapons to the Empire, and that he did not want them to change the way they live, because they were going to change the way how they act, they felt, and how they were going to live through their dailies. So he knew that their people would not agree with this. So he did the right choice, and he just said that these guys are just trying to intimidate and do all that stuff before it was taken away by you call it those Imperial commanders, since there's now the Imperials that are controlling the armies now. Things got more escalating as they went by, where Crosshair upgraded his suit to more darker greenish clone trooper than but he did able to go back where the Clone Force 99 failed to do, and he killed one of the soldiers who were not clones, because they started inciting clone troopers who were regular like recruits. In other words, they're not clones, they were regular soldier people who were volunteering to the Empire. So they tasked these in regular soldier people to go with Crosshair, and basically one of them did not still complied with the way the situation was going. So what they end up doing for they end up doing is killing one of those special soldiers, because he did not want to follow the orders that he was 10. That's why they signed him, because he knows he'll follow orders no matter what. So he killed him and the last of the civilians who were trying to escape. It was kind of sad at that moment, where they had no choice but to expect their deaths. I knew off the bat that there was nothing that they could do, and it was inevitable for them to do that. Let me go ahead and get the B running. As as they were going through, they had to assign themselves with the little task we call what's the right word to say this? It was like a little task where they were going to assign some somewhere to get money and to get paid, and basically they found this really cool sales bounty person who signs them tasks for money, and they were going to a couple of missions. There is just, the creature that Jabba the Hutt was basically because that creature from Jabba the Hutt, got his name, that monster creature, he was able there to be assigned with them, and through the way that they saved him and was able to recruit him, he promised Jabba the Hutt to get back his creature, and that's what they did from these, I guess, stealers that were not doing the events right. So I knew off the bat that this was I knew that things were going to go a little bit different here. But as Hunter, was looking at these missions, he realized that, as the empire grows, that they're getting less places to visit since they're getting hunted down, including the bounty hunters who were after Omega. So he had no choice but to find a way to help Omega out for these bounty hunters. He didn't know the sales who was hiring the bounty hunters to Omega, but that's when until they found out, like with the famous character we once knew from Clone Wars, which I forgot that hunter's name. With it was with it was that alien with the hat and blue skin and red eyes. That character. He that he made his appearance because he wanted to deal with it, which he was a really strong bounty hunter. There's no way he was able to like escape their fates once it was decision. So I knew off the bat that once you have them in your gaps, there's nothing really they can do. No way, Darth Vader is really strong. So when their bounty would come across, because there's another bounty that wanted the money. That's when the Camino people, the ones that hired them, gave up. They gave up on hiring bounty hunters because they're just gonna continue failing for to achieve the what they want to do. So there's nothing they can. Basically they had no choice but to give up on the hiring bounties, and Omega got saved when she did her best to find, which it was successful. She found a way to get a beacon up and running, just to get the Cloak Force 99 to go after them. Though Wrecker or Tech, one of those, started losing control because of the Himper chips were getting active. He started going out of control crazy. Like he couldn't tell that he was not having it. It's only when the hunter found out, when the Himper chip was going more active, because Rex was still alive and he knew about this. He knew that they had to get those chips out of them, because once those they activate, they no way they can get controlled. So that's when Wrecker had no choice but to obey his orders, and he went all berserkly crazy and started attacking Hunter, Tech, and Echo just like that. And he saw his scary side, how strong he was when he was in his evil form, and it was like really bizarre, crazy when he was just going up against the force, the last of the forces. They finally knocked him down to get the inhibitor chip out of him, because once the chips activate, there's nothing they could do. I was even shocked that he was capable of doing something like this. As the series progressed, they did come across Crosshair when he came in his new outfit, which was more darker. Though the outfit wasn't necessarily the best, it was at least enough that you could convince that he's no longer with them, that he's a part of a new force, special force that was much darker. So they end up fighting against him and going trying to find a way to escape his presence. Though they did come several counters with Crosshair, still it was really difficult to know what was gonna happen next, and so you don't know what you're expecting or what was gonna turn out. I was even surprised that Crosshair was still saving them from the final episode, which was kind of really shocking, and it was sad seeing them go through this. Because the whole Camino changed when they realized that they wanted to get rid of all these staff members due to one traitor that they probably maybe they would have taken out. We don't know, because the clones that they once created, and what was Laman knew that he had to get out of the place, because he knew something was not right with the Empire. It wasn't clarity. He just knew that something did not fit right with the Empire, because they ended all their contracts. They were dismantling all the work and creations that they were doing, and he realized that this was wrong. Why am we doing something like this when we should be forcibly getting ourselves making clone troopers and continuing the assigned tasks? So that's when made him, go for how you say this? It made him realize that he needed to do something to find a way to continue his work without the Empire's knowledge. But ended up backfiring him, and his own clone troopers turned on him and hold him. I don't know, prisoner. We don't know. They killed him, but they took the one that he ordered to get all the scientific items, because I guess she got caught and got him Lamam to get, like, how you say this, get arrested or something like that. Why the scientist was escorted somewhere else. So there's nothing that they can do about that. They When the hunter realized, and Wrecker and Echo, which was Tech, those four, they saw something that we knew off the bat, that when they realized that they needed to save one cloak trooper, they came to realize that something was wrong here. Something did not fit right, and they started realizing this when they came across to, like, how you say this? They came across to, like, this facility that was not clone troopers, but instead these facilities were, like, more dangerous, more like, how you say this, disobedience. And when they uncovered their mask, they realized these were human troopers, not clone troopers. That these were in many packs, and that if they do one wrong move, and they can get killed by them easily, including the ones that were like high special commandos, which they themselves were, like, really, like, how you say this? And that's one destroyed. They were really, these commandos were, like, good fighters. I mean, I seen them trying to take down the close force 99 team. They were really getting a hard punch with these guys. One of them almost successfully took the entire squad down. That's how strong these guys were. And they were not even enhanced. They just had good fighting skills. They knew off the bat that these soldiers really knew how to take a punch and take a hit. Though they still didn't know who was good and who was bad, so it was really confusing. They had no choice but to use unlated blasters, and took each of them down as much as possible. But these troopers, or unknown troopers, were starting to take control of the Empire and change it the way it was going formed. So they had no choice but to just continue it. When one of them, Hunter, got caught, and the rest of the team, because they had to leave fast as possible because there's really too many troopers and they had no choice. They started Hunter came across Crosshair again, which was looking for them since their departure from one of the missions that led him to continue making his way towards somewhere else. They took him back to Camino, because that's basically where the thing was, and from there they were setting up a plan to get all the rest of the team to come to this one place where they were being trained at. Why there was no personnel on site but them, they continued to deliver that they're the only ones that knew that their team will never abandon. So they had to set up a plan to know that they were being expected. As the rest of Wrecker, Tech, and Echo were going to save Hunter, they knew that this was going to be a setup and something was going to go completely wrong. I was shocked when they thought that this was going to happen turned out to be wrong, and it ended up, like, really, like, sabotaging their play here. They knew it was a setup, but that's why they left the Mega to the bottom. But as soon as, they were having conversations, fighting, and, doing all their stuff, basically, it turns out that Crosshair wanted to give him one more chance to join the Empire, but Hunter and still refused with the rest of them. The Force 99 did not want to be a part of something that's gonna kill innocents for the sake of being a good soldier. They were for the Republic. they said themselves they just want to keep it in peace, and they didn't want order in it. So that's what led Crosshair to start a fight with them. But as soon as they could get ugly, they Omega had a brilliant plan to use these machines in there to take out the rest of the soldiering squad. So they had no choice. So I guess in other words, it was far from too late to know what was gonna happen next. Once that happened, it was only from then down there that they were gonna evacuate the rest of the soldiers, and because it was empty, everywhere of the Camino facility was empty before they started preparing it with the cruiser ships. And as they were preparing it, you could see the final moments of all the Clone Wars seasons that I've watched. On those, every single of those moments that it really brought like emotional to Star Wars fans, saying that this is kind of sad because they realized that all their purpose was to protect this cloning facility that kept the soldiers running, and each of those cloning facilities were dedicated and lightened up with all the soldiers that were there. In other words, this cloning facility was something like they knew that if something like this was gonna happen, because Governor Talkers gave Vice Admiral Rampart orders to do that. They gave him orders to destroy the entire facility of Camino. It was just devastating when that thing got destroyed, because all those clones that they done to protect it was worth for nothing at the end, and it still got destroyed. It's kind of sad to know that everything they worked so hard is still undone, and even though the Hunter had to go along with Crosshair and the rest of them, that since they're out of time and the whole facility was being destroyed, you could see the final moments of your memories being wiped out when the last Camino structure was destroyed, and that's when they're tumbling down in very an emotional way, just trying to stay alive from getting attacked or destroyed. So you really don't know what was expected through each and every bombardment. Though I gotta say this, when their conversations were happening in the final episodes, Crosshair was still pissed about his fact that his decision led him to get in this situation, but he didn't believe that. He knew that this was inevitable, that they had to just make their way out of it. So they did that as much as possible to continue their way towards the secret platform that they went through. And they got back to that secret facility room where they were first created, including Omega, because the room that they were in was created from special enhanced soldiers. But after their conversations and their rooms that they're saying goodbye to, their memories of all the missions they did, Crosshair, he still tempted the Hunter and tell them that, look at all these missions we done, and you gave it away for what? To be a part of the resistance, things like that he didn't want to follow orders, and that his choice is leading to get hunted down and things like that. I was like in shock mode knowing that this was actually going down. It's amazing too that they came through all these stuff, and yet they're still excessively don't even know what to expect next. I mean, I was looking forward to see what will happen to the Crosshair, but it turns out he still tagged along with them and saved Omega from being drowned into the ocean, and did his best to get them out of there as much as possible. But then as they came across through each their conversations, Wrecker was like still pissed about his decision that he did, and that was not right. But people, I think it was Echo or Tech, told them that, look, you can't change the person the way they did. There's nothing you could do about that. That's their decision. That's what they made. You can't really do anything about that. I totally agree with that. However, the Crosshair was still, I knew off the bat Crosshair still has an inhibitor chip inside of him, so he can really make his decision or make his own choice. Though he still wants to be a part of the Empire, and he did not agree with the rest of the team. As they're beginning their departure, they look at the last moments of what used to be Camino and the whole place that was once there. As they looked in it, they're kind of sad knowing that all of the thing they fought for and this would lead to this event. And it was kind of devastating too that once they seen the destruction, all they could do is just look at all the devastation that led to this point before they departed themselves. But Crosshair did not want to continue following with them. He made his choice, and they tried to give him a chance too, but he told them no. That it was best that they just go their separate ways, because they knew Superior Scouts were coming, and they had to leave. But he knew that, despite everything that he's done, despite of all the stuff that happened, it really did not want. He still did not want to be a part of something that's not gonna make them equal. Every thing that they have come across to, all the stuff that happened, it was really like, it was really intriguing to know what was gonna happen next. But I know Crosshair that he just stayed behind because he wanted to be a good soldier, and he did not, even though despite of all the stuff he's done that were really bad, he still wanted to be following orders, that he didn't disobey him at all from any point led him to departure. Even the hunter couldn't help him either. As the final moments came, Omega gave him one last look and thanked him for saving him, but she was crying knowing that he cannot change Crosshair, and since their facility destroyed that takes out the inhibitor chip, there's no way to help Crosshair from getting from being loyal to the Empire. In other words, there's no way to get him back to a regular person, so basically he was screwed. At the moments that they saw from each and every other's sentences or things like that, they had their one last thought, which was, if he knew that he was gonna be alone, because he knew off the bat, I seen from Crosshair's eyes, he was gonna be alone. He wanted to continue looking at the destruction of Camino, and the stuff that they were once together with now just disappeared and got on total destruction. And all the things that they done, he wanted to just stay an eye on that, knowing that he cannot change other people as well. Man, these players are good. So yeah, this was like the best explaining much as the review as possible. As my final ratings, I'll give this an 8 out of 10. This was really good. It showed the true potential of the rise of the Empire and how they were slowly changing and evolving. Again, they probably will appear to these type of stormtroopers next, the ones that I'm playing right now, pretty soon. But I have a feeling that Darth Vader in Season 2 will show up. It's just inevitable that they will end up showing up and starting to try to hunt down the Clone Force 99, which, if that happens, they're effed, because this Sith Lord Darth Vader is someone you can't really outrun or outgun. He will just completely disintegrate any blaster fire, because he's the key to everything. And since Anakin now is influenced into Darth, there's no chance for him to actually change. But yeah, this best experience so far. It was really good. They got me hyped towards the end. I really enjoyed myself through this entire show, and I'm looking forward for Season 2, what it coming across with that one next, because there is still chances of what else will happen after the events of the destruction of Camino. So I will be explaining that as well in the numbers 2 review, but we don't know yet what else is gonna lie with them. But we only know is that, yeah, Vader will show up eventually. It won't be long, because he is in the comics there. No matter if the clone troopers are changed or not, he's still there to do his duties. And he will probably, the Emperor, Sidious will probably task him to hunt down these Clone Force 99 that are causing problems to the galaxy, because they know off the bat these enhanced soldiers are disobeying orders, and when things like that happens, they just want the soldiers to be taken out or dealt with, since they're causing the plans to be ruined, things like that. In other words, to have those guys in there will be kind of like really bad. That's basically their situation, because it happened in the rebel side too, where the rebels were always causing issues and they needed to be hunted down. Though Darth Vader was hunting them down, they still get the Inquisitors to continue doing the same thing as they did. So there are really no chances for the rebels to go through. I was still thinking what Crosshair was in his mind, still like he was still broken or something. I'm looking at his opinions. He was still like curious of what he should do, and because he was, again, even though he had the inhibitor chip, he in his mind he wanted to go so badly, but he just wasn't convinced to just disobey orders and start doing something that leads to him being eradicated. Oh, what the heck. Him being like, a target from the Empire, that he felt like he just knew this wasn't right for him, and he just was more of an ordering than a disobeying person, or like, in other words, he did not like the rebels. In his mind, he did not enjoy being a rebel, so that's what led him to do his order task, and why he went after the whole battalion of the Force 99. Though the opinions of each others were quite different between each and every way, but I hope you guys will like this entire review. If anyone has opinions of what they think the Bad Batch Season 1 was about, they're welcome to leave it in the comments or in the chat. This was, again, really like a really crazy story that got me more interested of what's else is gonna happen during the rise of the Empire. I'm looking forward if they do end up coming with the rest of their real default outfits, that they finally show the true potential of the Empire, what's it gonna expect for them to show, and what's gonna end up becoming, this scarier form, that this is gonna be a really nightmarish way. Although Hunter realizes they're outgunned and outnumbered, he has to survive with this team, and he bests his places as possible, that he doesn't want to have them being the barbarians, because he knows that if that happens, there's nothing they could do to stop their own soldiers. In other words, they're still running at this point. They can't stay in one place. When you're a rebel, you have to run as many places as possible, because you can get taken out easily. There's nothing you could do about that. No, I got shot by another soldier. I'm still going to be looking for opinions. This whole season still was really hyped. It got me really scared of knowing what's going to end up happening in season 2. Because it's slowly becoming a suicide mission. That's I could say. There is no chance for them to escape the fate. Eventually, Darth Vader will show up and hunt him down, because I know he's alive. After the events with Mustafar, it's only a matter of time before he shows up to show what the true Empire is capable of. Because right now, it's the beginning. They're not really that strong yet. They're barely recruiting new members. They're getting used to their positions. They're not really, because their clone force is dismantled, but they're not looking at their side where they're like, okay, am I gonna do this? I'm gonna do that. They're kind of, in other words, they're confused soldiers. They're not at their strong potential yet. Once they start getting stronger, they'll end up fighting against every individual objectives and achievements, and those special black op forces will start attacking them and start showing their really firepower they're capable of. Though I hope there is the ones from the Fallen Jedi Order, which was those only certain soldiers that we haven't seen. The only ones you can fight are in the game Jedi Fallen Order. Those are the only ones, the only way you can fight those clone soldiers. That's the only way. The rest of it, the unknown, because you really don't know what's gonna happen next. But thank you again so much for watching. This was a good review of the entire series. I already rated it, and I'm looking forward to what's gonna come up next. If you want, you can leave a like to this video. You can subscribe to Orlock425. I'm still willing to, if you want to continue my conversation, you can join in the chat and talk what your opinions about the whole show was, because this show was really devastating, and the beginning of the end to the Republic and the rise of a new darker force. And rather than that, if there's no one else there's nothing else to say, I'll be wrapping this up and calling it a day. Though there is a cameo for what you call, I don't know if it's R2D2, but the other one, the other droid, I think from the Rebels. I forgot his name, but it was the orange rebel droid that we seen him from the beginning days. He was there basically in the Bad Batch season. So if you've seen the encounter of him, he does a good job of helping. It sucks though, he's not in the entire show. At least you see a glimpse of him, and you try to oh damn it, I failed. He does help to escape the more, I call it, the main characters of the Rebel series, because they do have crossovers between each other when they're young. Alright, so I guess that's gonna be it. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope you guys like this review, and that's about it. Bye bye.